Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here we are. That fast. Anyway, did you want to finish your story?
It's like me in the corner store. It was that fast, and yet I
That
still got
fast.
yelled at.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on. Y'all missed our
Oh my
story.
gosh.
It is a heat wave in Los Angeles, and we're talking
Yes.
about our
Yes.
dogs and the ways to keep them cool, and what to
Right.
do and what
And keep
not to do.
ourselves cool. And yeah, yeah. It's a for me, and I will just say this and then be done with the story because I don't want to get all. I was a little bent out of shape when this
Oh,
first
yeah,
happened because I
I'm
was like,
sure.
"Who are you?
To
You
yell.
don't
Yeah.
know me."
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, maybe she thought I was a terrible person, and
Ah.
she's wrong, hopefully. But but whatever. But the issue with I've got a pretty roomy apartment.
Mhm.
I mean, there's not that Otis is like doing Olympic stunts in here or anything, but he's got room to breathe.
Yeah.
But we don't really have any outdoor area
Ah,
besides
okay, okay.
like I got to take him and go somewhere. We
Yeah.
have a front lawn, but it's all like desert landscaping. I mean, he couldn't really
Do
hang
anything.
out
Yeah.
in there. He'd like
Yeah.
screw up the plants, and I don't know. It's just
Mhm.
not going to happen. And
Mhm.
there is no backyard because that's where people park. So,
Mhm.
um, you know, when he has to do his biz, we gotta
Mm.
go out. And
Yeah.
and even in the heat, it's like we'll go out, we'll walk in the shade, you know, and I can. He kind of looks at me like I want to go farther, but I'm also like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, just
Yeah.
do your thing, and then
Yeah.
we'll just go back
Well,
in where it's
yeah.
safe,
Yeah.
and I'll put ice cubes in the water bowl.
Sev constantly goes to the shade. Like
Mm.
he does not like the sun. I mean, he looks at me like these are UV rays. You should not be in the sun. We should be
I
in the
wonder
shade
if
together.
it's a white dog thing because Otis is kind of the
Oh.
same way. I mean, he's okay, but I mean,
Mhm.
anytime he can choose the shade, he will.
Oh yeah, interesting. That's Sev. Yeah, but Sawyer, no. He was in the
Didn't
sun.
care. Didn't
No,
care.
didn't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have him
It
out,
probably does have something to do with pigment and just
maybe. It's just interesting because, like, in the mornings, he's in the middle of the yard. We don't have the full sun, but it's like 11 o'clock. He's like, "Yeah, no, let's head over here." Of course, we just cleared out a lot of our bushes, and now we have a lot. I don't know what we're gonna do, but we have a lot of like sticks and dirt, and he loves sticks and dirt right now, and he won't listen right now. Obviously he's like 9 weeks old. We're like,
Right.
yo, here's a treat, which normally he's so treat motivated.
Yeah.
But like compared to having the field of sticks and dirt that we don't want going in his mouth, he's like, nah, guys, this is all good here. I'm in the shade with sticks and dirt. See
Yeah.
you
It's
later.
doggy heaven.
No, see you
Shade,
later.
sticks, dirt. Yeah. What else do you
That's
need?
all I
Yeah.
need. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'll
mean, I
get the
wish I
treat
could
later
leave.
anyway. Yeah.
A
I
puddle.
wish I could leave him out there, but I'm like, dude, I do not want you ingesting all this sticks and dirt, and we're gonna end up at the vet.
Or just, there's always that like you always hear, the one story where it's like we had a perfectly fortified fence.
Yeah.
Everything was perfect and somehow the dog got out.
Yeah.
You don't
No.
want that to be your Monday afternoon.
No,
No.
no, you really don't want any of that. Luckily, Seb's kind of, yeah, he really is a Velcro dog. He doesn't want to lose us. He's like, where are you? Where are you? Except for sticks and dirt. He'll be like, go on your merry, go work. I'll be right here. See you later. I'm like, okay, that's what it
Well,
takes for this guy for
one of
now.
the things about Otis, who will be 8-ish. I mean, rescue
Yeah.
dog, so you never really know. But is that in my neighborhood, and I might have mentioned this before, a fair amount of people feed the feral cat colony that's around here.
Mm.
Basically, it's just sort of like you'll see like a little cup of, dry food and maybe like a
Mhm.
little cup of water, here and there.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's one of my downstairs neighbors is one of them, because when I moved in, I was like, what? Do you have a cat? And she was like,
Mm.
nah, it's just the feral cats. And I was like, okay, well, it's fine. And the problem is that Otis knows where the houses are, where
Mhm.
there might be food. And there
Yeah.
isn't always food outside those houses, but when there
Mm.
is, it becomes this whole just like he is a maniac because he wants to
Oh,
eat the kitty food, which
yeah.
first of all isn't for him. Second of all, I don't even know what kind of food it is. Like, and he has a sensitive stomach. No,
Oh no.
not good.
But he
So it
wants it,
kind
yeah.
of turns into a thing where it's like leisurely walk, wouldn't call it that. More of a looking out for grenades.
Yeah. 100%. You see, when they get fixated, they just nothing and
Yeah,
usually, I could tell, obviously we have a long way to go with Seb, but I could tell he'll probably be a really good dog, but when whatever there's going to be something where he's like, that is my thing.
right.
Nothing you say. And like for Django, it was horse poop. Uh
Horse poop. I mean,
yeah,
how
like
often did she even see that?
in San Francisco when we lived there, there was a park that our dog walker took her to a lot, and there was
Oh,
just
uh-huh.
horse poop. There would,
There were
there'd
horses.
be
Yeah.
there were
Hmm.
horses, and all the dogs loved it. So that was, I think that was her main thing.
That's
But
funny. Otis, there's a park, Elysian Park, that I take him to sometimes. And I've never actually seen a horse on the trail that we take, but you can tell when you see the poop later. It's like, oh, there's definitely been a horse here. Like maybe it's a police horse. I don't know.
yeah.
He has no interest in horse
Ah,
poop, but he likes a lot of other kinds of poop.
that was Sawyer. Sawyer like loved everything in our backyard. I mean, like I'm
Like,
surprised.
well, cat poop.
Yeah. Oh, for
I mean,
sure.
when I'm
And
saying other kinds of poop, like not
yeah.
mine. My
Yeah.
gosh. I mean, we're trying to keep some sort of decorum in this house, but I've got an indoor cat and a litter box, and
Yeah.
Otis sometimes see
Oh,
litter on his face, and I'm like,
oh, yikes. Yeah.
and
You're like,
at that point, I'm like, do I even like yell at you? It's over. Gosh, just like, what's wrong with you?
I know what's wrong with you. Well, the story for today, right before, not right before the show, but like an hour ago, um, Sev just is so fixated on all of the dirt and sticks that have been cleared out for him. We had, like I said, we had these bushes and we cleared it out this weekend. And now there's just a field of stuff that he can't just stay away from. So he didn't do his business because he's so fixated on this. And I'm like, I know you got to go. So
Yeah.
I brought him in. He did his business indoors. And I was like,
Mm, mm-hmm.
I guess we're going to have to leash you in the backyard before, I don't mind him like going after the stuff because I can stop him. I just go, hey, and I
I
give
mean,
some,
are you worried that he's gonna like eat the sticks?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's kind of
yeah.
eating them.
It's kind of
I mean, it's
splintery and weird.
chewy. Yeah. And,
Yeah,
he's so little. I just don't want him doing that, So we have like a big stick that we give it to him, and I'm like, no, this, one that
yeah.
Ray had for many years ago. I don't know. It's just, he's so new. I'm like, dude, maybe we need to get planters out there so he doesn't do it. I don't know. I don't know what we have to do with our backyard. But
You know,
anyway,
a lot of this is also just like he's like figuring out how to be a dog. He's
exactly.
9 weeks old.
He's gonna chew. And thank you, BioCow, who has a 4-month-old puppy, loves sticks. Still a few accidents in the house from time to time. Actually, Sev is pretty good about telling us when he needs to go. And right now he's got to go a lot, right? It's like they tell us
Yeah,
like let him out every hour, but he'll tell us if
yeah.
we're pushing it. But it just
Well, and
today he
that's
got really distracted. I'm like, oh no, I
and
don't.
for anybody on the stream, sorry you didn't hear the beginning part of the story. I don't know. I'll tell it at some point, some other time. But I got yelled at because my dog was out on a very hot day in LA for 5 minutes. But the person in the car who yelled at me did not realize that and does not know
Mm,
me. And it's like Otis is a camel. I always tell people that, especially if he's being like babysat or whatever. I'm like, he is, I mean, as long as he does business sometime in the evening, you don't have to worry about him.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
awesome.
he's not going to have an accident overnight. I mean,
Hmm.
with very rare exceptions, you know,
Right,
in
like if
eight
he's sick or
years.
something, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
exactly. It's
Hmm.
not he's pretty good, you know.
Hmm.
But he does have like he has to go
Hmm.
sometimes. He just has to go.
Hmm.
You
I mean,
can't
it may
just be
be
like,
hot outside.
"Oh, just hold it forever." Like, no, I
Just
can't
hold
even
it
do
to the
that.
till the weather gets better. Just hold it.
I can
Like
barely get
what?
through an hour show without going
Yeah.
potty myself.
Yeah.
I mean, we're humans. Good gracious. And we're supposed to stay
Yeah.
hydrated. Thank you. Thank
Exactly.
you,
I've got
vitamin
mine.
water. They really
Okay.
should pay me.
I have San Pellegrino. Hey, you
There you
wanna?
go. There
There
you
you go.
go. All right. Well,
Anyway.
what do you say we get this party started?
Yeah, let's get it going. Amos has been like show to
And this
show
is
to
like,
show today. It's like, okay, can we stop with the dog poop stuff?
I know, I know. We just had to get some of it out of our system. And then we'll
Yeah.
talk
I
about
mean,
Apple.
Sev did, so eventually.
Oh, goodness.
All right.
All right. Well, okay. We'll count ourselves in and get going. Here we go. In three, two. Hello, world. Welcome back to Apple Vision Show, episode 21. Hello, Eileen Rivera. How are you?
I forgot that I wanted to have a beer for this show because we can now
Oh,
at
because we're
21 years of age.
21. Ah, crap. You know, it's so. Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Lane. It's so hot in my office right now. We're having a bit of a heat wave here in LA. For anybody watching the live stream, you may see a trickle
Oh,
come
no.
come off my brow at some point during the show. But it's so hot that boy, a cold beer would have been great. But I am
Yeah.
drinking cold vitamin water, so I mean, I don't
Right.
know, you know,
All right. I've
this
got
or
cold
that.
San Pellegrino, so yeah, I need definitely not hot coffee. Iced coffee maybe later.
Well,
Anyway,
we
yeah.
could say next week,
Oh,
beer, you know, beverage. It could be beverage, you know, week, because we're
yeah.
22 and very wise.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. 21 is just they're novices. They're just learning how to drink, right? 22, you got it going on.
Sure.
You know, you've got a little bit more experience since you know what kind of
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, get
You've
a
had some
beer."
tough nights.
Tough nights,
You know
right.
what not to do.
I'm
Yeah.
saying like, "Let's get a beer," but what kind? You know? Let's get detailed on the kind of beer, not just any beer. My goodness.
No, I mean, not to get too into the weeds on beer, but I like beer.
Mm,
I don't drink beer that often,
yeah,
but there are
same.
certain kinds of beer where I'm just like, nah, if that's the only option, I just don't want it.
Yeah,
I don't
for
like the
sure.
taste, you
Mhm,
know? I like
mhm.
some beers.
Yeah.
But I guess I feel that way about kind of anything, except vodka, which doesn't taste like anything. But
It
like,
doesn't taste like anything.
who even
Yeah.
really drinks vodka all that? Well, maybe some people do, and that's fine. You know, all good. But yeah,
I
um,
thought about vodka for, penne alla vodka because I was trying to make penne alla vodka, and I'm like, we don't have vodka. And we have so many things in the house that we don't really drink much of, but we don't have vodka. So it was sort of penne alla vodka sans the vodka. It was still good.
that's so funny. I got some vodka recently, and it was kind of crappy vodka, but it was for cooking. So I'm like,
Oh,
I'm just
okay,
gonna
yeah.
burn all the alcohol out of it anyway. So
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
don't need to buy like Grey Goose
No, no,
for
save your money.
for my pasta. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. Anyway.
All right. Well, anyway, if anyone's coming into Apple Vision Show for the first time, sometimes Eileen and I, we go off the rails a tiny bit, talking about
Mhm.
personal life. But this is a show about Apple, and we are here to talk about Apple this week in episode 21. And there's quite a bit of Apple news. Now, before we get into some of the stuff that we're talking about, Apple is very much in the news today for being perhaps the first company that is going to get a big Digital Markets Act fine in the European Union. and it's not the only company being investigated. Meta and Google are as well. Meta and Google. Yeah,
Mm.
I think that's right. And Daily Tech News Show did a whole big deep dive on this on Monday's show, June 24th. So we don't always want to like do too much overlap on some of that stuff. So we're not going to go too into detail on that in this show today, but please do check out Daily Tech News Show for more information on that. That is big Apple news. But what I think is kind of interesting, Eileen, and this is
Mm.
something that I ran into this morning, weirdly enough. I got a woke up this morning and I didn't have my phone next to the bed for whatever reason. I don't know. And I was just sort of like, who even knows, if anyone called me or otherwise tried to get a hold of me. I just, wasn't really available. And I got a funny message on Facebook, like a notification
Mm.
on my iPhone,
Mm.
saying somebody tried to message you on Facebook Messenger, and I was like, that's a weird notification. What's that
Okay.
about? So I
Yeah.
clicked it, and it was somebody that I'm not friends with on Facebook that I guess had messaged me, and I just wasn't going to see it otherwise. Never have gotten that notification before. But
Yeah.
when I, was like, all right, who is it? What I got was Meta AI. Want to try it?
Oh,
And so I was like, did
interesting.
someone really try to message me? That's silly. It turns out that yes, there was somebody that had messaged me in the past, but we're not Facebook friends. So on Facebook Messenger, it got put into sort of some other mailbox that I don't see kind of thing.
Okay.
But I this this has happened before. I think a lot of us have, you understand that you get weird messages on Facebook that, aren't
Yeah.
from your crew and they go somewhere and, sometimes you have to seek them out. But I think that Meta decided, to use that as an excuse to be like, check out Meta AI. So I
Yeah.
did. I was playing around with it a little bit, and my first query, of course, just because I always think about food, is like best ramen in LA. Where should I go?
Okay.
And so I got, like 10 responses. Some of those places I've already been to or at least ordered from, and they are good. Others I
Mhm.
have not. And I was like, okay, that worked out pretty well. But that's like, pretty basic.
Mhm.
But the interesting news about Meta AI and Apple is that the two companies are apparently in talks to somehow bundle Meta's AI platform into what will be Apple Intelligence going forward. Apple obviously talked not at length, but did say that OpenAI is its initial partner.
Mhm.
Didn't even really say initial, just said, yeah, we're working with OpenAI for Chat GPT functionality into Apple Intelligence going forward. But I don't know. I think it's smart for Apple to talk to all companies about all this stuff. I think it'll be interesting to see how the consumer experience will be on the other side. I mean, almost like if you were to again search for ramen
Yeah.
and Google was like, well, I mean, Google wouldn't do this because it's its own browser, but should we do Safari, DuckDuckGo, Firefox? Like, what do you want? I'd be like, I don't know. Just tell me. My gosh. Kind of
Yeah.
feels the same way to me.
I feel like that's what's happening because it sounds like, and I can't find it right now. It sounds like Apple's talking to a lot of different companies. So they want to give the consumer, us, all of the options. So not just Chat GPT, OpenAI. So now, you hear about this potential deal with Meta. So this won't be the last. There'll be other, options for the consumer. But then, like you said, Sarah, I feel like I'm going to get lost. Not that I like choice, but too much would be confusing. So it'll be interesting how this all sorts itself out. And, there's always the, behind the veil, they're trying to sell you premium services through Apple Intelligence. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen at the end. I mean, they're not paying each other, but they'll hopefully get banked through this new, pool of consumers, should this all go through. And I mean, I guess we just have to wait and see how it all works. It doesn't sound great in theory. I'm like, wait, so I'm gonna have to choose between five different ones. I thought we just had one. And then in the end of the day, if Apple figures out AI, don't you think they're all gonna go away? Or I guess,
Well,
maybe they'll leave it.
that's the eventual plan, right? I mean,
Yeah.
or that's, that's the reported plan, is that Apple simply isn't ready to launch its own,
Hmm.
Chat GPT slash whatever competitor. And so is partnering with Apple Intelligence to make something like, using Siri just a better experience, and keep up with the competition, all makes sense. I just wonder, I wonder how under the hood, if Apple were to be able to say like, all right, yeah, we're open AI, yeah, yeah. And by the way, I think that the reason that there wasn't a lot of fanfare about the OpenAI partnership at
Mm.
WWDC at the keynote was because Apple hedging bets.
Mm.
It's like they don't
Hmm.
want to go so deep and then be like, and have the public be like, well, what happened? I think Apple was like, it's just that's just the partnership that we have right now. But let's say that uh, OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta AI, Google
There's a
Gemini.
exactly, yeah.
What if they're all options? How does that
Yeah.
work?
I mean, I was thinking about that as we were just talking right now, and I'm like, oh, does this work kind of like how you choose your browser? Like just now, I'm using Firefox right now, and it did give me that prompt. It gives me the prompt every single time. Do you want to
Right.
make this your main browser?
Right, right.
Oh,
Default, please.
default. Yeah,
Default.
I said no, but I am enjoying my Firefox time. Specifically recording this show. And
Same.
maybe it'll work something like that, like you can toggle, maybe there'll be something in settings so you'll have all of the choices, but you could say this is my priority, or this is the toggle that I want on, turn the others off, and then you kind of go from there. That's my guess, is kind of how this is going to work, very similar to choosing your default browser. But
Yeah,
it could
I
get
guess that's
messy.
true. I guess you can't really. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe this is a question for the audience. Can you have a bunch of large language models under the hood and not have to choose one for a particular query, and Apple just would somehow know which one to use? I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
which is the best one? Maybe they'll know OpenAI has the best, answer for this. So we'll give you this and you can,
Right,
choose it.
right. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess if you, gosh, I mean, there's so much data about this that I don't know what Apple's doing, but
Hmm.
that would that would have a lot to do with this. Is, for example, if I say best ramen in LA,
Mm.
and I am the 500th person to ask that query,
Hmm.
and Apple knows that the previous people, the 499 people before me, got the best answer from Google Gemini, for
Hmm.
example. Would that just be served up to me automatically?
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. But then maybe you would have another option. Well, maybe you
Yeah, because
manually could go to another option. I don't know.
I don't think we're at the place where the consumer just is like, I don't know, it's AI. It's like, nah, we're still choosing the company that we're getting our our language model answers from.
Yeah, because you could opt out, right? You could still opt out
You could
to
totally
any of
opt out.
yeah. So maybe I don't want any of these. Just what about you, Siri? Okay, do you
Yeah, I
have you
guess I
figured
just
it out?
right. Yeah, it's like I still always go back to like comparing it to a Google search just because
Yeah.
everyone just uses that as like the baseline of like how do you find out things? Google
Mhm.
search. You
Mhm.
have other, lots of other options, but that's the thing. But, inside of Google, it's all Google. It's
Mhm.
not like Google's like, well, we're working with lots of other companies maybe they are behind the scenes to give you some, great answer. It's all us, and we
Mhm.
benefit from it.
Mm. Yeah.
I don't know. This whole Apple Intelligence thing is very interesting to me. Very
Yeah, it feels
interesting.
like everyone is circling each other like vultures, don't you think? It's
Yeah.
like, who is going to crack the code that will make more money, generate the best information, and make the consumers happy, right? Like, I just feel like everybody's swarming around this model, that model, and no one knows yet. But it's the talk of the town. It's the only thing feels like people are really talking about. But it's surprising after all the sort of like headbutting that all of these companies have done traditionally over the years. Now all of a sudden, maybe we could, because I feel like about a month ago we were talking about Google and Apple in a partnership, and now Meta and Apple in a partnership, and just not
Yep.
long
Yep.
ago Zuckerberg was like, our stuff's the best, you know.
Yeah, and we're
Like, yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay.
okay,
I mean, maybe it
thanks.
is, but like,
Zuckerberg entered the chat, everybody. Here we
yeah,
go. Listen.
ooh, yeah, MMA fighter. Yeah, you're gonna get him. You're gonna get him hard.
Oh yeah,
Oh
but
boy. So more in news that affects us as consumers and creators potentially are new versions of Final Cut Pro coming to both iPad and Mac. Now,
mhm.
as everyone knows, if you've been listening to our show as of late, I'm not using an iPad every day. I'm kind of on the fence about buying a new iPad Air,
Yeah,
but I haven't done it yet. Have not pulled the trigger. I feel like I don't know. It's a lot of money, So I'm
yeah.
I'm still keeping that in check. But for Mac, Final Cut Pro used to be my editing software that I used for years. Not that I was
Mm.
really ever like a full-time video editor, but I had moved over to Premiere for I don't even really know what reason, Eileen. I think I probably just work as a producer. I was working with editors who were using Premiere to the point where I was like, I'll just use Premiere,
Mm.
but they kind of work the same way. But Final Cut
Mhm.
Pro, I looked this up earlier because I couldn't remember when it launched. It launched in 1999. So that was, well, first of all, a long time ago. But when sort of desktop video came onto the scene, it was Premiere. At least when I was in
Yeah.
college.
Okay.
And very, very early days. But it was sort of like, wow, there's like a way that you can just do this digitally and not have to like literally cut tape kind of thing,
Yeah.
as editors had been doing for a long time. And yeah, when Apple launched Final Cut Pro, it was 1999.
99. Yeah, I
Yeah.
started using it, if you guys know Brian Brushwood, I started using it to produce and edit Scam School, 2007, 2008. I loved Final Cut Pro. I had the big
Oh
box.
yeah, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. You were doing Scam
Oh my
School.
god, I loved Final Cut Pro, and then, they stopped really kind of updating that version, and then years, and then I moved on to Premiere, and then, which I don't love as much, and then now I'm hearing rumblings that Final Cut Pro on the Mac is great again. I'm like, "Okay, well, guess what? Last night I edited on Final Cut Pro on the iPad for the first
Oh,
time.
wow. Wow, wow, wow. We got a
I
little gift here. Oh my gosh.
So I have a video that's up on Instagram. Amos, if you feel like maybe don't play the audio because it's Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. You don't have to play that. But I have to say, I was kind of messing with it in my half delirious state, of a new puppy, and I'm like not getting enough sleep. But I'm like, this was actually pretty intuitive. I still think I like CapCut better, but I'm going to spend some time. I have a month free trial. But what I
Okay.
loved was actually the ability to actually do live writing on a video. Like I wrote on my video. You
Oh.
could see my handwriting happen. Usually it takes like you go into this app and then you go into that and then you export this file. You could do it all here. It's kind of like the thing that a lot of kids like. There it is. The if you're watching on video, you could see my short little video from a cafe
Oh,
here
I
in
see what you're
LA.
doing.
Yeah.
First of all, that looks
I
like a nice coffee
The
and a
coffee
nice
was
almond
fantastic.
croissant. Uh-huh.
Shout out to Loop Espresso Club in Eagle Rock, California. But it was really, really good. And it didn't take me that long to figure out. I didn't do the tutorials or anything. I just kind of wanted to see how intuitive this was.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
I did this all within like an hour or so, if I'm really counting. I had little stop and starts thanks to the puppy. But yeah, it was pretty easy to put together, and I like it so far, and we'll see if it gets me off CapCut. But I'm gonna enjoy this first month free trial. It's $4.99 on the iPad. Now the Mac version I have not tried yet. That one's like $2.99 for the year or something. But I think you
Yeah. So the
you own
pricing,
it.
I guess post free trial would be you pay basically $5 a month,
Yeah,
or
on the
50 bucks a
iPad.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah, for the
yeah.
iPad. And then for Final Cut on the Mac, $300 annually. Or no, $300 just
I think it's
outright.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
it's just $300 outright, which is pretty good considering I
it
pay
is.
Adobe for everything. Right now I have a deal for like $29.99, but they're like your free deal, your deal is going to go up. And I'm like, well, then I'm probably not going to. I don't use all of Adobe services, but they gave me everything. I don't use Illustrator. I don't use any of that. I
I don't
really just use
either.
Premiere.
No.
Adobe, what you call it, Acrobat. That's kind of it. So I'm like, I don't really need that. But anyway,
For a project that I am not doing anymore, and this is, I wouldn't call it like a life hack really, but I was using Photoshop. So I have
mm,
Creative Cloud, I have an account, and yeah, like Acrobat would sort of come up every once in a while for like, I don't know, I had to like some tax thing, whatever. But and Premiere I had at one point, and then I got rid of that because I just wasn't using it anymore. But when you try to say like, all right, Creative Cloud, I'm out of here, they go like, do you want another 90 days?
exactly. I know. I think they're
And
going to get
and
me. Yeah.
and I've done that a couple times now where I'm like, yeah, I think I'm done. I don't want to pay $10 a month for Photoshop because I'm not using it. You want
Yeah.
another 90 days? And I'm like, okay.
I think that's going to happen with me when I try and cancel. They're going to be like, "Why are you canceling?" I'm like, "Well, because I want it cheaper and I don't need all of this stuff." The other cool thing is that Final Cut Camera came out for iPhone, and I have that on my iPhone. I haven't tried it yet, but you could do multi-streaming. You could, it goes direct into Final Cut. So I'm curious. I personally don't see a need for it. What I do, but maybe I'll figure it out. So I'm excited to kind of play around with that. But yeah, it offers live multicam. I mean, you'd have to have multiple cameras, which I have a phone and an iPad. So I don't know. We'll see how this all works. But I'm curious
Yeah.
how this will, if this could be something that I would use.
Right.
So I'm not the filmmaker out to I'm just a producer, editor,
No,
and sometimes
you're
do.
actually really good at it. You're I mean, if anyone's not following Eileen on the various socials, you really should. She is prolific and very fun. I wonder, as we're talking about pricing stuff, Final
Mm-hmm.
Cut, obviously, there's a subscription option for the iPad and, just iOS in general. The Final Cut Pro being a one-time fee, which again, $300, that's not chump change.
Right.
But just like the one-time thing, I've always enjoyed that with stuff in the past. For example, I bought Logic Pro some years
Mm.
ago because I wanted to use it for as a podcasting editing solution, and maybe some music stuff. I've never got into the music stuff, but one purchase, I just
And
sort
that's
of
it.
like migrate it amongst whatever machine that can support it, and I never have to pay for it again. I already bought
Hmm.
it. So that's nice. But Apple is so subscription focused right now, trying to, it's like you got Apple TV Plus, you got Apple Fitness Plus, you've got,
Hmm.
just a variety of things where having a subscription, people are more used to that than ever. I
Hmm.
mean, you might not like it, but people are pretty used to that at this point. You kind of go like,
Yeah.
okay, that number either makes sense to me or not. So the whole one-time fee thing for some of these programs, I wonder what's up with that.
Yeah. I mean, because you think about the subscription is like, well, I could cut it anytime. If I find something better, I'll just move on to something else. And
It's
I
true.
don't have to be tethered to that, because there's always some improvement or there's always the next hot thing. I'm like, oh, well, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like me thinking about keeping Final Cut Pro on iPad or sticking with CapCut. CapCut is actually
Right.
$7.99 for the pro features, and Apple, and like we said, FCP for iPad 2 is only $4.99. So it is cheaper, but I think there's still better bells and whistles on CapCut. They have
Mm-hmm.
templates, they have all these stuff that I'm like kind of embedded in now since I've been using it so much, that I kind of love. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a chance. And yeah, the one-time fee, I mean, will there I don't know. I always worry, like, am I dumping all my money and then tomorrow there's like something amazing,
Something better.
right?
Yeah.
That's better. Yeah. And not even cheaper, but just better and gives you more options. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's I don't know. I mean, it's it's a real just financial conundrum, right? It's like,
Yeah.
am I going to use this program long enough that paying $300 today makes
Right.
more sense than paying $10 for the next however many months where it will become more than $300?
Right.
The
Right.
subscription thing, it'll get you because for a couple of years, you sort of go, oh yeah, I mean it's $5, $10 here or there kind of
Yeah.
thing, and but it never goes away. It just
Yeah.
keeps going. And if
Yeah.
there are lots of upgrades and things that
You get
you
them.
enjoy as a result, awesome. And I think
Yeah.
Adobe is quite good at that.
Yeah.
But Adobe also has been accused of being pretty predatory about people
Mm.
trying to cancel accounts. And, you know, I have definitely, even though now I'm enjoying free Photoshop for another 60 days, in the past I was like, I just want to cancel. And it was like,
Yeah.
ooh, early cancellation fee, Sarah. And I was like,
Oh.
oh man, all right, I guess I won't cancel because that like cancellation fee is more money than what I was trying to
Yeah.
save by canceling. Anyway,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and Amos just said, listen, maybe we need to become students again, Sarah, because students can get Logic Pro and Final Cut Pro with a new Mac for $200. Period. Like
All in? Really?
that's what he wrote here. That's
That's
what
a
he
good
wrote.
deal.
That's
Well,
pretty great,
I
right?
mean, I'm a student
I
of
go back to school.
life. Come on.
Does it count that I do Peloton class? I'm a student, in exercise, and
Yeah.
so I am teaching myself how to keep healthy. Thank you
Right.
for
Yeah.
the deal, right? No.
Yeah.
I like no.
I'm teaching
No.
you all how to, stay cool in the summer. I mean,
Yeah.
what just give me
Life
a degree.
lessons. Life lessons are just as needed as, economics. Okay? Just saying.
Indeed. And with that, I think we'll take a little break. All right, Eileen. There are rumors.
Yes.
Lots of rumors. Remember that song, Rumors?
Oh, I love that
Rumors
song.
every day. Need some
Oh,
time.
wait.
Time to get
Oh,
away from.
oh, that
Maybe a different
Rumors.
Rumors song.
I was thinking of Fleetwood Mac and the
I
album.
think,
Wait, is it
well,
album? It's
that's
an
the
album.
album's name, right?
Oh, I was thinking of Rhiannon because it's on rumor. Because it's on Rumors,
On
isn't it?
Rumors. Yeah, yeah. No, no, I got
Oh
it.
God.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I think
yeah.
there are
Anyway.
probably lots of songs called Rumors. I was just thinking of the 80s songs, you know. Look at all these rumors, rumors
Yeah.
every day.
Okay, I know
Yeah.
that one. Yeah, now that you're singing it. There's also Adele. Rumor has it. Anyway.
Rumor has it. Yeah,
Rumor
yeah,
has it. Yeah, rumor
yeah,
has it.
yeah. So speaking of
Yeah.
rumors, the rumor, and this comes from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman's latest Power On newsletter, which he sends out every Sunday, that among other things, we might be looking at a cheaper Apple Vision headset by the end of next year. So not something that's happening in the next 6 months or even 12
Right.
necessarily, but something that it sounds like, and this is not a surprise to me, sounds like Apple, because the Vision Pro, as we've talked extensively about on this show, you know,
Hmm.
it's pricey, it's developer focused, it's great for certain things, and it's a little head scratchy for a lot of people who might want it.
Hmm.
Apple Vision Pro coming to different markets might change the landscape a little bit. You know, coming to China, coming to the UK, coming to Canada,
Yep.
Singapore. What am I missing? Hong
All the countries.
Kong.
Hong Kong. Yeah.
Anyway, coming to many more markets where a lot of developers might be, you know, totally into this. We'll see how sales go, but for now, it's kind of like whoever wanted it has it, and
Yeah.
it's not like a hot ticket item for sale right now.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think that, you know, again, Apple is like, well, it wasn't supposed to be. It's first gen of this thing that we think will really, really change your life. First
Right.
gen, you know, and people are like, too expensive.
Yeah.
Why do I want it? You know, and even people who have had it have not everybody. Everybody's experience is different. My experience, you know, not the same as the next person. But for me, I'm like, you know, for like immersive video, it's awesome. But how often am I really like, I want to have like immersive video like laying on my back on the couch when I could
Yeah.
just, you know, sit up and watch it on my TV. It's sort of like, I don't know. I can
Yeah.
like just like choose my experience, but I don't need it.
Right.
And I think the whole kind of needing it thing is something that is not part of the mainstream audience at this point. But if a Vision Pro that might have fewer bells and whistles, but maybe the bells and whistles that don't appeal to the average person is offered for, I don't know, $1,200, they're probably going to sell a lot more of them.
Yeah. I mean, remember we were talking to Stephanie last week and she was like, 11.99. If
Yeah,
that
right.
could
I know.
work.
That's where I got the 1,200 from. Yeah.
I mean, I think they're thinking a little, who knows, but I'm hearing reports of anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000, right? For this version and a
Hmm.
lighter version, and that it could be tethered to your phone, like for battery's sake, I guess, or your Mac. So you could tether it and then, that's how
Yeah.
you get the power.
You know,
So,
if the Vision Pro was untethered, well, it is untethered technically right now, but it's tethered to its battery pack. You
yeah,
you know, you don't have an option to not have that, you know, on your person or, you know,
yeah,
next to you somewhere. I don't really think that's a huge like issue.
yeah.
If the Vision Pro launched as something that was completely wireless, and then they were like, for $1,500 you have to tether it to your phone, you know, wired, I'd be like,
Mhm.
that's a tough sell. But if you're
Mhm.
already not used to it, then I think that's fine.
I think that's fine too. I mean, I think the lower price, I mean, it's basically cut in half, right? So and if it's lighter and then eventually maybe more of a glasses version in the future. I don't know if this version that we're thinking that they're talking about in 2025 would be that glasses version. But imagine it like we've been saying, it's going to get lighter and lighter and more, maybe even more fashionable. Sarah, I don't know. I think
I
that's all
mean,
good. I
what
feel like that's
what
where it's headed.
you don't want to wear it every single day?
No,
It's very
no.
fashionable. I mean,
If it was
as
like
far
this, yes, I would.
as
I would be wearing it on the show if it was like this. Even as odd, these are my reading glasses. So even as odd as these are and big, these are
no, they're cute.
please,
I like them.
please,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bring it down, bring it down. I think people will. It'll jumpstart the product, and I don't know that Apple is dying to jumpstart it. I think they've known that, like you said, they've methodically planned the rollout.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
maybe they're envisioning, okay, this is when we think we're going to start making money on it, because $1,500 is not that far off. It's the same prices as an iPad, some of the iPads, and even
Totally.
phones.
Yep.
So it's becoming that other device in that price zone. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I'm just for our show and just my general
Yeah.
curiosity, I've been following the whole everything Apple Vision Pro pretty closely.
Hmm.
And I, trying to kind of figure out like, all right, what's the company going to do? Because no matter, I mean, if everyone behind the scenes, in some sort of corporate meeting at Apple is like, oh my gosh, this was a failure, they're not going to tell us that. They're going to
Yeah.
spin it as like, this is a wonderful developer product that has, changed the lives for doctors and patients everywhere. And, whatever, we're in those early days where Apple and people do compare the Vision Pro to like, well, remember the iPhone wasn't like that crazy at first.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it kind of was
It
though.
kind of was. It was. It was
Yeah.
like a phenomenon. I
Like you
remember
didn't
the
necessarily
lines.
need one because you already
Yeah.
had a phone, a mobile phone of some kind.
Hmm.
Or I don't know, maybe you didn't, but this is what 2007.
Hmm.
But like it was pretty it was a pretty big deal. Vision
Yeah.
Pro, a little bit different.
Yeah.
Also, not the first to the scene. You have other VR options or AR
Mhm.
options or whatever Apple calls it,
Right.
augmented reality options. So, spatial reality? I don't know.
Spatial. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know.
Apple Intelligence. We got all these
Yeah.
words that they're making up. No, I'm
Well, that
kidding.
it's just that's Apple. Like, they're,
Spatial computing. Spatial computing. There you go.
spatial computing. Yes. So I often do. I think the Vision Pro and the Quest 2, which is the one that I use for workout stuff, I mean,
Hmm.
they're just very different. You can't compare
Hmm.
the two.
No.
If
Yeah.
someone was like, hey, would you buy a Quest 3 for $3,500? I'd be like, heck no. Or $2,500. But Apple is doing some. There's a long game here. They're
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
they're and they're looking at the horizon, trying to figure things out. And kudos to them. And I think this has been an interesting year for a lot of stuff that's coming out in iOS. Although Apple Intelligence not going to be part of the Vision Pro when it
Right.
launches. So that's a little
Hmm.
disappointing. I was
That is
hoping that,
disappointing.
yeah, I was hoping that there'd be more integration there where I could like have a little bit more fun, with the headset that, otherwise is sort of a developer tool that sometimes I feel like I'm not taking the best advantage of.
Yeah, it seems like a miss. And then again, like we talked about last week, I thought there'd be more connectivity with the Vision Pro and iPad and phone too. But I mean,
Right.
there is, but I was thinking even as basic as design wise. So, maybe they just didn't think enough people would use it. On the Vision Pro, who knows? Um, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. They got, they got their reasons.
Well, moving on to content stuff, things that you can watch on a Vision Pro or an iPad or an Apple TV or I don't know, anything Mac OS, uh, even an Apple Watch in certain capacities, are movies and TV shows. Interesting news that Presumed Innocent, Jake Gyllenhaal vehicle, has become the most popular series that is streaming ever. Is that right, Eileen?
I can't believe this.
Me
Like
either.
right streaming right now for sure this week. It's above The Boys, The Acolyte on Disney Plus, House of the Dragon is 4. Like really. By the way, I'm so behind on every. I think I'm caught up on The Acolyte, but I just watched episode 1 of the latest season of The Boys last night and I have not watched The House of the Dragon. I've just
I
been
did. I won't tell you anything. It was
is it good?
great.
Okay, okay, okay.
I
That's what Tom was
mean,
like. How come you not watch this yet? And I'm like, I don't know. I have foggy brain. The puppy gave me foggy brain. I'm afraid to see people die. I'm afraid to see people die on
oh well,
oh,
House of the Dragon. You don't want to
House of the
watch that show
Dragon.
if you don't want to watch people die. But
I love Game of Thrones, but and I like the first season of House of Dragon. But I'm
it's
like, oh
brutal. It's
geez, here we
brutal.
go.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
it's
okay.
they're not mincing words around Westeros,
But back to
yeah,
Presumed Innocent.
but back to Presumed Innocent. So I haven't watched this.
Me neither. I wanted to,
Wasn't
like the first
okay.
episode, but
So am I crazy? Wasn't this a movie starring Harrison Ford back in the day? I feel like
I
it was.
don't
Presumed
think you're
Innocent, like
crazy.
this is a book that became a movie that now is a series. If
I
I'm not
believe
if I'm not nuts.
there was a movie called Presumed Innocent in 1990.
Okay.
Whether or not it's connected to this, I'm not 100% sure. Does anybody know in the chat room? Does
Yeah.
anybody know for sure? Or
Someone
is it
help
just the
Eileen
same
and I. We
name?
have no Google search capabilities.
I'm looking right now and I'm, trying to, stay entertaining for the audience and not just like stare at my screen. But yeah, whether or not, I mean, listen, people love it's crime drama. You know what I mean? So I am not surprised, but I am surprised because some of these other shows that are on the list of that are out right now, I would have thought would have beat Presumed Innocent, but may never count Jake Gyllenhaal out.
Well,
Like
after
clearly
Roadhouse, I'm
yeah.
I'm a fan. Now I like him.
You watched
He's a
that?
great actor.
Oh, okay.
I watched
You watched his
it.
version of Roadhouse? Was it any good?
Not really.
Oh,
I mean,
okay. It was like
if
you just
you
wanted to watch him.
if you so well, I no. I mean, neither of the it just the movie. So the original movie with Patrick Swayze, I've probably seen it, pardon me, as a child, but like I didn't remember anything about the movie. I actually got it mixed up with Footloose, where I was like, "Oh, is it a movie where everybody dances?" No, Roadhouse, not that movie. It's just like a lots of people beating each other up kind of thing. That movie already existed. Was redone with
Right.
Gyllenhaal recently. You see a lot of just like his ripped body, where I'm like, okay, we get it, we get it. Okay, you are no body fat right now. Good work.
He's doing well. He's doing well. Oh, by the way,
Doing
Apple
well.
TV's Presumed Innocent has rebooted the 1990 film starring Harrison Ford. I just did the
Okay.
Google
All
search
right.
while you were
Thank
talking.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You are correct,
Thank
Sarah. You
you.
are
Thank you.
correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
So it feels like I don't know. Am I one of those like, oh, it's popular, I should watch it, but am I really going to be into it, or is it really that good? Like
Well, okay,
I have so
so
many other I haven't watched House of Dragon yet. So anyway.
yeah, I mean, I listen, any show that has dragons in it, I'm like,
Right.
that's my show.
That's the show. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
don't even play with me, Jake Gyllenhaal. But speaking of other Apple TV Plus shows that I'm kind of like, okay, Dark Matter.
Oh,
So
you okay. What is that about?
Dark Matter, I'm not done with it. I've
Mm,
gotten through about 5 episodes of the season, again based on a book, and you know, I'm sort of like, it's okay. You know,
okay.
it's okay. It's kind of like I always tell people where they're like, should I watch this? I'm like, do you want to also have like your laptop open and kind of doing other stuff while you're watching the show? That's what that show is for me.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, like it's not that it's a bad show. In fact, it's kind of a show that you needs a lot of attention because there are a lot of moving parts, but I don't know.
This is the show I think I might like because there's alternate universe, right?
Oh
I'm just
yes,
looking.
many of
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
I
It's
love that
very
kind of
kind of
story.
like Inception, like
Mm,
many levels, what is real, what isn't. In that sense, it is a good show.
okay.
Just kind of like so I had a friend who was who he and I talk about just kind of TV and movies, and he was
Yeah.
like, "Are you watching Dark Matter? It's the best." And I was like, "I'm not."
Ooh.
Okay, let me start. And then I like, where you start a movie or a TV show or whatever just at like 10 p.m. and by
Oh yeah,
10:30 you're
I've done
like
that.
totally asleep, and then you're like, oh, I just have to watch it again. Like I
Yeah,
was just like way too tired to watch
for
this.
sure.
That's what
Yeah.
happened with me with Dark Matter a couple times where I was like, yeah, this is too complex. I need to like
Yeah. You
be
need to
focused.
focus. Yeah. Okay.
Need to
And be awake.
focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also I binged a bit yesterday because it was so
Oh.
hot, so I was just sort of like sitting inside with the AC on, and I was like, okay, yeah, good show, but I still
Yeah.
felt myself drifting over to the laptop a little bit, to kind of do
Interesting.
this or that. Yeah.
So Joel Edgerton didn't hold you as much as Jake Gyllenhaal might if you watch Presumed Innocent. Which, by the way,
Well, I
I'm
don't
looking at
know.
the
I guess I'll watch
synopsis
Presumed
of
Innocent at
Presumed
some
Innocent.
point.
Well, Presumed Innocent, like the one liner is a man who might or might not have murdered the woman he's having an affair with. Don't you want to know?
Yeah, where you're like, well, you're wrong either way, but
Yes.
you might be like really wrong.
There's no
Yeah.
alternate universe with like timelines that you have to kind of figure out. It's either
No,
right or wrong. Did he do it or not? Like, let's uncover that.
totally, totally. So Eileen, let's talk about these new Beats solo buds because
Yes,
you
please.
know way more about Blackpink than I do.
Well, first of all, I was going to try and sneak in a K-pop story at some point, and here it is. Jenny Kim.
Yeah, there we are.
Jenny Kim is featured in new ads for the new Beats by Dre solo buds, and she's got like basically in the ad itself, there's a snippet of a new song. She is part of Blackpink, but will also have solo albums. We suspect this is a snippet of her solo or one of her solo efforts. And so that's got everybody excited. Plus, she's so beautiful. Look at her. And I love those red buds. They're thinner. They've just kind of like upgraded everything about Beats. I actually have Beats
I like the red buds
headsets.
too.
Aren't they nice? They're like
They
really
are.
like
Yeah.
flashy. Now I am worried that they're smaller than all the other like, oh God, these could get lost pretty fast. That's one thing. But you get 79.99 and you got Jenny Kim for me, like selling it. I'm like, girlfriend, I'm there. I think I want one. So yeah, no, I mean, the specs overall seem like it's lighter. The performance is great. The battery life. I mean, what else is there to say? There's other colors too. You don't have to get Jenny's red color. There's a purple, a white. But yeah, I think they're doing well, and I think nabbing her as a ambassador spokesperson is pretty huge. Especially, I was very confused because I saw another ad of hers with an Android phone, and then I remembered the Beats by Solo. These Beats Buds do advertise that, oh, we also work on Android phones. So she's still staying
Right.
true to
Right.
another operating system, but just using a buds that are clearly linked to Apple, which is
This
fine. But
this actually reminds me of, just to go back to some of the stuff on Apple TV Plus originals,
mm-hmm.
is that everybody in like the shows, Macs,
Oh yeah,
AirPods Pro,
yes,
iPhones, and in the and this won't be a spoiler, but in Dark Matter, there are definitely like certain situations where it's like someone looking at computer systems that are just like made up and aren't real, but otherwise you're like product placement at a peak. Just like
yeah,
it's like
it's
like
true.
the close up on the ear when they get the phone call of the AirPod. I'm like, okay, we got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
message received.
all the Korean dramas that I watch, almost all of them have Samsung phones.
Right,
That's the yeah. You just there's the new phone. Like if a Samsung has an announcement, you better believe the latest and hottest K drama is using that phone, right? It's like, oh, they timed it. They knew when that show was going to
right.
run, and they gave him the phone. Here it is. Oh, there it is.
And I
So
really don't care that
I don't
much. I
either.
mean, as long as it doesn't like seem like, why is this plot line all about the Samsung phone? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like if it's just
no,
something that someone's using
it's
and you go like,
subtle.
nice phone.
Like, ooh,
It's
yeah,
like, all right, that was worth whatever money Samsung paid for that. But yeah, it does feel a little egregious sometimes, but
yeah.
also I don't know, not that different from watching old Seinfeld episodes where like cereal boxes were in his kitchen, where
Uh,
I'm like, oh yeah, Kellogg's must have paid for that because nothing's
yeah.
free.
Nothing's free, especially advertisement. Usually they like tape it out, all that stuff. Hey,
Yeah.
Jermaine King and W. Scottus One both back up the battery life of the Beats headphones.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah. And it's just gotten better. So I don't know. I think I'll put it on my little wish list on Amazon if I can put that on there and see if anybody buys it for me for my birthday. We'll see. But yeah, that was my way of sneaking in a little Blackpink into here. A little
No, always do that. Yeah,
information.
always do that. I mean, that's
Fun
kind of
stuff.
how I feel about dragons. I'm like, all I really have is House of the Dragon right now, but I'm like, anything dragon related, I want to sneak into a future episode of this show. Um,
Okay.
what what we'll also sneak in is a couple of your emails.
Yeah.
And thanks to everybody for writing in to feedback at applevisionshow.com. This one comes from Leonardo saying, regarding your discussion last episode about using Chat GPT every single day, because Eileen and I and Stephanie all kind of were like, not every day.
Not
We're
ready.
not there yet.
No.
Like we want to be, but like
Yeah.
show us how it works. Leonardo says, I have to say that I do. I work at a large bank in Buenos Aires, and I use it a lot to ask how to do this or that in HTML or how to tweak code. I also love to read. So, for example, I grabbed all of my read books from a database in Notion,
Mm.
pasted on ChatGPT, and said something like, based on the books I like in this list, what other books would you recommend? Very
Mm.
smart.
Yeah.
Leonardo says, I'm also in the middle of moving with my wife to a house, fingers crossed.
Woo.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you. And I ask, what are some good decor ideas for a house, or what
Oh.
should I do to make moving easier? I basically do with ChatGPT what I would have done with many Google searches before.
Oh, I need to use ChatGPT to help
For
me
the
with the
backyard.
backyard. Yeah, what should I
Yeah.
do with our backyard to help stop our puppy from eating all the sticks and dirt that have now appeared?
Well,
Let's
and
use it to-
also, I mean, not to get into like too much planting stuff, but loving plants. It's like you don't want to plant something that's like toxic
Exactly.
or,
Yeah.
isn't going to, just like do well in our climate and,
Right.
all sorts of stuff that you could get answers
So
for.
many things. I never had to worry about that till now. My old dogs they didn't care. This one cares too much. So I will, you know what? I'll report back. I'm gonna try.
Do
See if it
it.
helps me out with the backyard.
Do it. Do
Thank
it.
you, Leonardo.
Yeah, exactly. And we got another one from John in Billings, Montana. Hello, John. Who said, while there's no way I'm aware of to see when tapbacks are sent, if you long press on a message with reactions, it does show up top who sent which. Okay, so this is in response to me complaining that sometimes if I get responses on, let's say, I send a note to Eileen like, I love your dog,
Mm,
and I get a heart and, a thumbs up type thing. But I'm
hmm.
like, well, when did she see that? When did she send the heart or the thumbs up? Maybe that's Tom. Maybe that's, like just
If we're
more
in multiple,
context.
yeah. Hmm.
I don't really know that there's an answer for this. However, John, you are right that if you long press, and this works on macOS as well as iOS, because I've tried it, you will see who did what. So it's not
Hmm.
like a secret, like who hearted this kind of thing. If you're on a group text, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're on a one-on-one text, like
Yeah.
this is not even a conversation. But yeah, if you've got
Yeah.
like seven people on a group text and you're like, I just kind of want to know who hearted this or didn't,
Yeah.
then yeah, the long press does work. But I would like a timestamp. I would. I want to know.
Ah,
I want the full receipt.
yeah.
And
Yeah. I
that
think
way I can tell
Android.
someone like, I know you were asleep at 7 a.m. when everyone else was hearting my dog photo.
Or what were you doing up at 2 a.m.,
Right.
hurting everything?
Oh, I say that
Or
all the time when I get a
you get
text like
concerned,
where
like,
I'm like, why are
why
you up right now? Or why
are
were
you
you up,
given
I guess, because I'm seeing
do
it
you have
later.
insomnia? Did I not
Yeah.
get invited somewhere? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, the time zone thing can be interesting because it's like, I mean, I have friends in I don't know, Amsterdam, for example. And it's like, so I just get weird messages from them at all hours because I'm like, they're just on, they're 9 hours away from me at
Mhm.
all times. We're just going to talk how we talk. But when someone's like in my time zone and I'm like, 4 a.m., huh? Yeah. Okay. You doing okay?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Do you got issues? Do you need some
Yeah.
help? Yeah.
Yeah. Insomnia. I mean, I struggle with that too. So no
Yeah, same.
judgment, but
No judgment.
sometimes I wonder. But thank you to both John and Leonardo for writing in. We really, really would love more of your comments. Anything that strikes a chord that we talk about on the show, please do let us know. Feedback at applevisionshow.com.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Eileen, I think we're wrapping this one up.
I think
We're
we are.
wrapping this puppy up. Just a reminder, we do have an Instagram and TikTok account. We would love to have you join us there, and all accolades to Eileen on this one because she's just like really funny and creative and is good at this stuff. So, if you're not following us on the socials, head on over there and enjoy things, and maybe you'll see a puppy here and there.
You might. They'll sneak in. One of ours.
Right.
Whether we
Yeah.
like it or not.
Yeah. One of the big ones. I have it just, okay. I know we're not going to talk about dogs and we're wrapping up the show, but I have a hunch that Sev is going to grow up and look exactly like Otis. They kind of,
Ooh.
I feel like he looks like baby Otis. Coloring, ears, the white, the
Oh,
face,
wow.
the nose. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, they need to meet like sooner
Yeah.
than later. Although they can't meet right now. He's a little sick. He's, puppy giardia.
He's a
You know,
puppy. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well,
that kind of happened.
Otis he's not going anywhere, so it's going to be fine. But we're not going anywhere either. And we're so glad that you've been along for the ride. Episode 21. We're going to wrap this one up, but we'll be back next week for episode 22. Until then, have a great one.
I was going to say, give us your drink of choice for next week, but that's for the chat room. That's for the chat room. If you guys want to ping us or email, whatever, give us your drink of choice. Please don't make it complicated. I will not be doing some mixer drink.
I'm not a cocktail mixer either.
You know, I just don't have all the ingredients. I don't mind, but I'm not going to go get that. So it's more about what beer.
I appreciate them.
Yeah.
Sometimes somebody, like when someone has like a dinner party or something and they're like, hey, I'm doing Moscow mules. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. All right. Yeah. How fun. Yeah. But I'm like, I don't even know what's in there. Like, I don't have that at my house. I'm like, I have vitamin water and water.
I don't know what's in there. I know.
If anybody's curious, I do have a fully stocked wet bar. So if you do stop by,
I guess we are all going to Alaska.
Let's go. Where you have solstice. You don't have quite polar night, though.
Right. Not technically polar night, no.
Yeah. Or polar day. It'd be polar day right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because the sun does creep down below the horizon. I created a little video and shared it in Discord, so that's what she's talking about.
Oh, I see. So yeah, we're getting to that. Speaking of insomnia, that situation where blackout curtains very important.
Yeah, if you need them, I don't need them.
No,
I spend enough time of my life working night shift that the sunlight doesn't. I could sleep at noon. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I don't
this.
like wearing what do you call it? Eye patches
eye
mask to cover my eyes. Eye pillows. I mean, I'll do it if I have to, but I don't like wearing them. So that's why I need blackout. I need it to be dark. And
I don't wear an eye pillow every night, but I have a few of them, like real nice, silk. They're, they do the trick, but they're very gentle on your face. And if I'm wearing one of those, I don't know what time it is.
Wow.
Yeah, I could sleep at any hour. But if I don't, and it's if the sun comes up, like for example, in my current bedroom, because my bedroom faces east. So in LA, obviously sun coming up over the east, and at like 6:30, it is bright. So that's fine if I want to be up at 6:30.
Yeah.
But if I don't, gotta wear the eye pillow because I'm not gonna sleep otherwise.
Yeah, that'll wake you up.
Yeah, the light won't do anything for me. For me, it's cold. If you want to get me out of bed, make it hot, and I'm out of bed.
Oh, same. Also, yeah.
Like
as soon as I feel kind of,
yeah,
I can't sleep anymore.
I figured that out because my wife will turn the fan off in the bedroom, and as soon as that fan gets turned off, I'm like, oh, it's entirely too hot in these blankets. I get it out of bed.
Right.
Oh, I can't sleep if it's too cold. Oh. I don't want it to be boiling hot. I love
it to be cold,
but I can't do it. I just won't. I'm just up. I'm like frozen up. Like, okay, it's too cold.
I guess there's probably a limit for me, but all that happens is I crunch into a smaller and smaller ball the colder it gets.
Oh, I see.
So I'm sure if you get too cold, I won't be able to crunch into a tighter ball. But yeah, that's no. I need it cold. I keep it about 64 in the house.
64 is that's a little chilly, but like I would prefer that over 84. any day, which is kind of what I'm dealing with now. Yeah. It's probably more than that. But it's funny. I when I sleep, I want weight. Like I can't just like sleep with a sheet above me. Like I can't like I need like a comforter that has some weight, but that makes you hot. So it's a whole thing of like room has to be not that hot because then the comforter and the room being hot makes it horrible and then I can't sleep. I
found a good
prefer like
combination.
actually a pretty cold room and a big comforter, and then I just have a cold face.
Yeah. I found a good balance in I got some very thick mink blankets while I was in Korea.
Ooh.
So I just grabbed a mink blanket and that's perfect.
Wow.
Made of mink, like.
Well, they're faux mink, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't sure if it was. I was like, are there
It's not hide.
fur coat blankets I don't know about?
No, it's not hide. It's
Um,
nylon.
Wait, so Amos, you do a podcast about House of the Dragon and you haven't watched the new season, so I don't feel bad.
Right.
I'll try and watch it tonight. I don't know.
Our big
Depends.
discussion last week was if we were going to move on with it or not, because we were all kind of just over it last season. And the decision was made that we are going to continue, but we're not going to podcast about every episode like we have for the entire series.
I heard the series is really good, though. Sarah, you love it, and Tom really likes it.
House of the Dragon? Oh, I love it. But I also, when Game of Thrones ended, people were like, crappy. And I'm like, no, it was awesome. That was like 6 years of my life.
Yeah.
I love that show. House of the Dragon just helps me, like, okay, all right, we're still talking about dragons.
Sarah was actually on the podcast. It's called Let's Talk About Thrones.
That's right.
And we started a rewatch from the very beginning after the second to last season. So after season 7 ended, we began a fresh rewatch and watched all of it and caught up just in time to watch the season 8, the last season, as it was airing.
Oh yeah, that's good.
So we
were
went through
fresh, yeah.
those hundreds of hours of content, and then at the end of that, we were like, okay, well, we're done with that for a while, and then House of the Dragon came back, and I think we were still burnt out on the original run. And now Richard and I are going to carry on, but I don't know if he has or not. But as of Wednesday, when we recorded, neither of us had seen anything from the new season yet.
Oh,
and I still haven't. I plan on watching it tomorrow because that'll be the first time I have time.
I mean,
yeah,
I love this stuff so much that every episode I watched the season 2 episode 2 last night, but I'll watch it again tonight.
Oh, okay.
Like,
you're gonna watch it again.
There's something that someone said that I didn't understand, and it's gonna be a whole plot point later on. Because it's all about like, families warring and whatever. But there are dragons,
I will watch it. I actually, like I mentioned, I watched the first episode of the latest season of The Boys. I don't know if you guys watched that, and I really liked it. And I'm kind of like, I really want to watch. There's 4 available. I'm like, did they drop 3 and then we're behind? But I really enjoy that show, mostly because I like the fact that they're like the anti-superheroes. But for those of you that watch it, I really, first of all, I watch because I love Carl Urban. I've always loved him, and I loved him as the Doctor in the Star Trek movies. So I was like, I'm watching it for him, but I also really like the character Homelander.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know the show.
He is so bad, but then he also has a redeeming quality because of his son. Sort of. It makes me interested. Like, I 99% hate him. And there's that 1% I'm like, oh, well, you're actually kind of trying to be a dad, but in the weirdest way possible by killing other people. Anyway, I'm really into it. And so I don't know. I might watch that first and then catch up on House of the Dragon on the weekend. But we'll see.
If it's not for you.
No, I love House of the Dragon. I mean, I was a Targaryen. I wanted her to win it all until she went
until she won it all.
Crazy. Well, and kind of won it all, right? Not really. I was rooting for her, and I was rooting for Drogon. And sorry if you haven't seen it, but at the end when he leaves with her, I'm like, oh, she was supposed to be and then it turned. I was like, oh, fine. Whatever. I was a little upset about that because I was from the very beginning. I'm like, I'm gonna root for this woman.
Yeah. Oh,
and then
100%.
And then the like flip switch of like, oh, I didn't see that coming. I mean, even if I did, I just didn't think they executed that well. That's my problem with it.
If you had been listening to our podcast, you would have seen it coming because we all saw it coming.
I did not. I was still anyway.
I wasn't sure. I don't know. I mean, sometimes when I see like, I know this sounds crazy, but there are a lot of dogs in shelters named Khaleesi. And
Oh,
you kind of go like, oh, either someone doesn't get it, does
mhm.
get it and thinks it's cute, or gets it and says, I'm not getting that dog. Because, what they're gonna,
Oh
yeah, I know. It makes me like, I'm like,
I,
no. You
I have
know,
noticed a trend though. Eileen, when you picked up Seven, he had a different name, and his other litter mates all had names. They're all related.
yes.
And then I've been been having the puppiness going on. So I've been looking at my local shelters, and there's always like 3 or 4 dogs in there, and they all have really related names. Like you tell the
Yeah.
story with it, and it's like I'd never noticed that before, hadn't ever seen that, but now it's everywhere. And I don't know if that's a new trend or if I'm just catching up to the
I think
idea.
they
I
do
think
that pretty
yeah.
often with litters, where they're
Yeah.
like, it's the, you know,
Yeah. Ours
the
was the
musketeer
s'mores.
litter, or yeah,
Ours
the
was the s'mores
s'mores.
litter.
Right.
Yeah. So he was originally Marsh. And then there
Yeah.
was Graham, his brother. Then there was Hershey and then Coco.
Yeah.
Those were the
Yeah,
4
all
pups.
all the all the
Um,
s'mores.
but
Yeah,
at the shelter, because he was originally from the Bakersfield shelter before the rescue, Wags and Walks grabbed him, his litter mates, and his mom. His name at the shelter was Mantis. I can't. I can't.
mantis, like
Mantis.
praying mantis.
Or the Avengers character,
Oh,
Mantis.
okay,
I
yeah.
actually thought it might be like isn't there a DC character named Mantis? Anyway, I was like, well, Mantis was your name at the shelter. I want to know what the others, what their
It's
names
like
were. If they were like,
mantis.
yeah,
Yeah,
was
like
there a Star Lord? Was there? I don't know. Did they fill out the Guardians of the Galaxy with with this litter? I don't know. So I look at him and I'm like, I guess you're Mantis. I don't know. You're not anymore. Then you
no,
became
you're
Marsh.
Sev.
Now
Yeah,
he's Sev.
yeah.
He knows his name, you guys. I think he knows his name. He's
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
no, they picked that up real
yeah.
quick,
He just
real
chooses not
quick.
to listen sometimes.
When Otis was at the rescue org again,
Mm.
was at a shelter. Who even knows what? I don't think anyone even gave him a name at the shelter.
Four three
But
one eight
then
five.
got the rescue org, right, and they called him Louie,
Oh.
which is a very cute name. But
Mhm.
at the time, I had a cat named Lucy. And I was like, I can't have a
Louis.
Louie and a Lucy. Like, I'm just going to
You could have
sound like
had
a
Lucy
crazy
Lou.
person.
You could have had
You
Lucy
know?
Lou. Come on.
No, it just didn't work. And so when he came home, there was also Sam the cat at the time, but Lucy and Louie, it just felt weird. So I was like, all right, you're Otis. And he was like, okay.
I'm down.
Well, I think maybe Tom has told you guys, but like Sawyer's intake name was Ja Rule. I don't know.
Well, which is, I mean,
It
kind of
fits.
the badass dog that Sawyer ended up being, right? Yeah.
They named
Ja
him
Rule.
the rescue place shortened it to just JR, but we saw, when we got the papers where I was like, you're Ja Rule. You had
Yeah.
a horrible festival, dude. This was later too, right? This was later.
I mean, as long as you didn't have a dog named 50 Cent at home, you were good, right?
50 Cent.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
There was one in the shelter, I bet. Like, who knows what that pack was.
I mean, what
Fighting
if
all
your
the
dog
time.
was named Drake?
I might I
You'd
might
be
have
like,
kept it.
oh, can we
It was
change
the weird.
that?
I know. Look at me. Kendrick instead
Yeah.
of Lamar. Lamar.
Oh, goodness.
Oh,
All right.
man.
Well, everybody, I am going to die if I don't get closer to my AC unit.
Yes.
So this
Oh.
was a lovely show as always. Thanks to everybody who has hung out with us on our live stream. Say hi to Sev
I will.
and Amos. I'd say try to
Get the
get some
puppy.
sleep, but apparently you're fine with it. Try to keep the bedroom cool, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, bye, live stream.
Bye, live stream.
Bye.